Welcome back to Around the Table with Stacy Smith, and we are talking about the political scene now that former President Trump has been indicted and the impact that might have on the 2024 election. With few exceptions, the large field of the GOP presidential candidates is trying to walk a fine line of trying to unseat Donald Trump as the front runner in their party for the nomination, but at the same time trying not to anger the base of supporters. So, Keith, it seems to me that this is a very narrow path many of these candidates are trying to walk.
Yeah, it's the Trump dilemma, and I'm not so sure that we've figured the Trump dilemma out. I mean, we have a situation in which we need to unify our party completely to be competitive next year. I mean, we are always mindful that we are the minority party, and before we even look at swing Democrats and independents, first we need to bring the largesse of our party to the polls. We need turnout. And although there's no chance that the Trump people would vote for some California governor or a sitting president of the other party, that's not our issue. The issue is they don't vote. They don't show up. And that's a gap we can't afford to have. There is no path for the next Republican administration without a united without a united Republican Party. So the only way that happens is if by choice the former president decides to get out and does it of his own volition. Well, we all know that that's the odds of that are slim to none, and that's why people like Joe Mystic I see on this photo cracking his mouth. He knows that's our problem. That's an issue for us, and we're really not sure how we're going to deal with it in this coming election. And in preparation for this broadcast, I'm reading different things online and whatnot, and I thought, well, you get indicted, he's done. And then I read this narrow interpretation of who's allowed to run for president. You have to be a naturally born American citizen, 35 years old, and you have to live in the country for 14 years. It doesn't preclude you from running for president if you're indicted and convicted based on current law. So this saga
could probably serve from prison, Keith.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about, Stacy was joking about you can't write this stuff. I mean, this is better than a Netflix or a Hulu series. I mean, so there's a long runway here. We still are. This is the proverbial tip of the iceberg on where this story might be headed.
Well, first of all, Joe, I'll bring you in here, but he won't be serving the presidency from a jail cell because he can pardon himself if he is elected president. So, I mean, that could happen, as a matter of fact.
Well, we don't even know if he can do that. Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought he could.
That's an open question. Are you suggesting, Stacy, that these other Republican challengers are being less than honest?
No, I'm not saying that.
That would be shocking. I've never seen that in a political campaign.
No, on either side, as a matter of fact.
Right.
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, and I believe Haley and Scott have started to turn the corner a little bit in saying that, if he is found guilty, as you said, Joe, these are very, very serious charges. And we can't afford to have someone like that be the standard bearer. Many of the other candidates are trying to say the Justice Department has been weaponized and this is a horrible thing, but I still want to be the candidate instead of him. So that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
They can't reconcile all the different angles they're trying to play. And he won't leave voluntarily. Keith's right. He won't of his own volition for the interest of the party. Or more importantly, the interest of the country, stand down. And the thing about it is, and we've talked about this before, it's going to be tough for the GOP next year, even if he's pushed off the stage, because he's going to take his ball, the collective 30 to 35% of the support, and take them with him. If it's not me, we're sitting this one out. Do not go for the nominee if it's not me. And they'll plunk. They won't even show up, or they'll go the other way, or they'll whatever they're going to do. And like Keith said, the GOP, the minority party, they have to come in strong, and they have to pick up independents, and they have to pick up like-minded Democrats to be successful anywhere that they're in the minority, whether here being in Allegheny County or Pennsylvania or the nation. And without that all coming together for them in the next 12 months, it's going to be a tough road for the GOP.
Well, let me throw this one out because we're talking about this federal indictment. He's already been indicted in the city of New York, Manhattan, over his business there. He may face an indictment of sorts from the state of Georgia for allegedly trying to interfere in the election process there. And I believe the January 6th, which the same prosecutor that's doing this one is in charge of that investigation as well. Let's just say that all of those come to fruition and either indictments or trials have started. Will that at all have an effect on his base? Will they just rally behind him, or will some of them start to say, maybe this isn't the right guy?
He may lose some, but I think he'll have a substantial chunk of people that will stand with him. I don't get it. Well, I guess I do get it because I'm somewhat of a student of history. We've seen this in Western Europe in, the mid 20th century. People stand behind these strong men and they believe at their core that, this is, the right leader for their times. This is just, a human phenomenon, a political phenomenon. So some will stay with him. He could be indicted a couple more times. For some people, that'll strengthen their belief in him.
There won't be enough if the next two come down, if Georgia comes down with indictments and then the insurrection investigation comes down with even more federal indictments. Now you have 2 states indicting him and 2 federal separate cases with indictments. I honestly, just based on how they've behaved with their loyalty to him so far, I just don't see how any of that is going to change anything. It's just going to strengthen the Democrats' hand next year.
Yep. And also, as Keith was pointing out, we have to take a break here, but as Keith has pointed out, there's also this perception, and you have all of these indictments coming down, then they feel like, well, then everybody's out against him. This is a rigged system. So, you're right. It could go either way, but the chance of losing a lot of support is probably not there. We have to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.